Okay, so let's see how this goes. New audio equipment. Hopefully you can hear me all right. So we are going to classify angles and vertical angles. So put that at the top of your page with today's date in the top right corner. And I'm going to work under a couple assumptions. I'm going to work under the assumption that you know that parallel lines never touch. They go in the same direction forever. That's important. I'm also going to work under the assumption you know what perpendicular lines are. They meet at a 90-degree angle. That's important. You need to know that. You should know that. Okay, so let's take a look. You have to write down these two definitions. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Write those down real quick. Here's how I remember them. If you're going to give someone a compliment, are you going to tell them they look 90 years old, or are you going to tell them they look 180 years old? Well, you'd probably tell them 90 is still old, but you tell them you look 90 years old. What a nice compliment. All right. So I need you to draw this figure, okay, and name a pair of complementary angles. Name a pair of complementary angles. Well, if when you compliment somebody, they add up to 90 degrees, or they look 90 years old, we have to find two angles that look like they're 90 degrees. So let's take a look. I think that this angle right here, 47 degrees, and this angle right here, 43 degrees, 47 plus 43 is 90. So I know that those angles add up to 90 degrees. So I can say that angle, that's how you write angle, PQT, and angle SQR add up to 90 degrees. Okay? It's important that that Q is in the middle because that's where the actual angle is. That Q has to be in the middle. You could have called this one TQP and this one RQS, but it doesn't matter. That Q needs to be in the middle. So the reason those are complementary is because they add up to 90 degrees. All right, now number two, we have to name a pair of supplementary angles. So let's do that. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. So if I'm looking here, I need to find ones that add up to 180. Well, this right here, isn't this a straight line? Any straight line, this is important, any straight line is 180 degrees. So I need two angles that add up to that. And this is going to be tough to visualize, but do your best. If you have angle TQR, that's this entire angle here, right? TQR, we're kind of ignoring that line with the S on it. TQR is 43 degrees plus 90 degrees. So that's actually 133 degrees. TQR is 133 degrees. Well, if I add together TQR and PQT, which is 47 degrees, 133 plus 47, that gets us to 180 degrees. Okay, so that would be your supplementary angles. So we know that angle TQR and angle, so that was TQR and angle TQP add up to 180 degrees. Okay. Let's check out vertical angles. Draw this. Angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. You might remember this from last year. These are just intersecting angles, okay? Here's the deal with vertical angles, though. In vertical angles, if they're across from each other, they are congruent, meaning the same. So angles 1 and 3 are exactly the same because they're across from each other. And angles 2 and 4 are exactly the same because they're across from each other. So number 3 here, if angle 2 is 75 degrees, then what is angle 4? Well, if angle 2 is 75 degrees, Angle 4 is exactly the same thing, okay? It's exactly the same angle. Look at that. So you know that if angle 2 is 75 degrees, then what is angle 4? 75 degrees. Here's where it gets tricky, number 4. If angle 3 is 98 degrees, then what is angle 2? Well, let's get rid of these. We're not under the assumption that that's 75 degrees anymore. If angle 3 is 98 degrees, and with angle 2 that creates a straight line, isn't a straight line 180 degrees? So can't you do 180 minus 98? And you get 82 degrees. Because 82 plus 98 would give you 180, which is a straight line. So if angle 3 is 98 degrees, then what is angle 2? Angle 2 is 82 degrees. And this is the point where I see if you are actually listening or if you are just writing stuff down. So I want you to draw a star right under number 4. Okay? All right, let's move on. So you might recognize this from last year. We're going to, it says in the figure, line N, which is this one, and line M, which is this one, are parallel, okay? And they're cut by a transversal. So I want you to actually draw this and write this, transversal. And that just means a line that goes through two parallel lines. So we have one measurement there, and we need to find all the rest of the angles. So that's 124 degrees there. If you would take 124 and that angle 1, don't those add up to 180? So can't you do 180 minus 124 and get 56 degrees, right? And can't you do the same thing here? Angle 1 and angle 3 make up a straight line. So 180, sorry, this is angle 3. So 180 minus 56 equals 124 degrees. Well, that kind of makes sense because look, these are vertical angles, right? So 1 and 2 are vertical angles, so that's also 56 degrees. And doesn't this right here kind of look 124? Doesn't this look like this angle here? Number 4? Yeah, they're the exact same angle. They're called corresponding angles. Okay, corresponding angles. So angle 4 is 124 degrees. If we know angle 4, we know angle 7 because they're vertical, right? 124 degrees. And if we know angle 1, we also know angle 5. So if angle 1 is 56 degrees, that means angle 5 is 56 degrees. And angle 6 is 56 degrees. Okay? We're going to go over this a little more in class. But make sure you drew all those things and wrote down the definitions. Great job.